The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing this morning?
I am drinking tea.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Traitor? No, just kidding.
You drank tea.
I wasn't feeling well.
I like how you just don't. You're just like, you're drinking tea.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't possibly because you don't feel well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm quite well. I just was coffeeed out this morning.
Mm.
And so I just wanted some tea. And it is still currently, at the time of this recording, it is August.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm drinking some nice, refreshing peach tea, even though it's hot.
Mm-hmm. But peaches they're so in season right now.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a wonderful, it's one of my favorite flavors. I really do like peach stuff, yeah. So I'm having some tea.
Yeah.
Reading some letters.
Mm-hmm.
I really like, so this is episode 70.
Yes, it is.
Oh, congratulations on this milestone.
Cheers.
Cheers, exactly. And it's actually, I think these are some really nice, this is a really nice, easy episode today. Just some cool information. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Yeah.
Now, this is kind of setting the tone for her new house. We've had a lot of stress in the last 4 episodes. You know, all of this anxiety of, is she going to get this house and so on and so forth. She's moved in now. And now we're going to fast forward. We left off in September. And Sweetie's been really busy. She hasn't had a lot of time to write because she's been moving all her stuff. The truck finally came. It only took, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for Kessels to stop, just stopping at roadside hot dog stands and playing with Lewis's toys to wind up in Pennsylvania. They did get there. No word yet if she can save $7.50. I'm still upset with her from 1949 about all that delay. We also know that Sydney and Elizabeth and Bob and all the others, they had been at the shore for a month. That's now done. We're moving forward into October in the letters of 1949. And Sweetie's finally catching up with her own letter writing. We'll have to see if she still has the typewriter. She was getting that one big letter out, but it's not clear. It's still its typewriter. We'll see. Once you get a typewriter to Sweetie, she's going to dig her claws in to try to keep it. We'll see how that goes. But outside of that, we're going to be learning more about just life now that she's settled in to County Line Road. Before we get into the letters for today, we have 4 letters for today, 4 documents to go through. And before we do that, though, real quick, please like, share, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. It really does help the channel a lot. If you could, on the audio channels, if you listen to audio, we have a lot of newer audio listeners, so welcome to all of our newer audio listeners. Thank you for your support of the channel.
Oh, I waved.
Yes, you can't hear it, but she waved. There we go. Yeah, and if you could please follow, click all the relevant buttons. You know what they are. To keep getting the episodes every week of the Love Sweetie podcast. We're going to be in a totally different subject at the end of this episode, so I will say next week, for people that have been waiting for it, Chester's back.
I know I have. Chester fan club president right here.
Yeah.
And I was talking with my husband because I get to read these letters. I do try not to read too far ahead.
Yeah.
And I was talking with my husband. I was like, you would have loved Chester.
Mm-hmm.
I know he would have. He would have loved Chester just as much as I do. But we are going to talk with Sweetie, and we are going to get a little bit of an update on what's going on with her.
Yep.
So, when is our first letter from?
So we start, actually, the first letter is going to be from October the 19th. She needs to catch up everybody. And that's how she's going to begin. County Line Road, RFD, Hatboro, Pennsylvania, October 19th, 1949. Dear everybody, I shall have to hurry in order to make sure I catch the mailman. This rural carrier situation has its advantages, but also its disadvantages. He is not very regular in his timing, and I must get there early one morning and not so early the next. Who knows what it will be this morning? Did I tell you in my last letter that Lou had done a valve job on the car and on Sunday took my beautiful new sweeper out and painted the car with it? The sweeper had to be thoroughly cleaned, but the car does look real nice, I must admit. He painted it black, and now the title has been changed from The Blue Goose to The Black Maria. I was pretty provoked that the sweeper should receive a first coat too, and found that Louis had told Mrs. Rieselman that Daddy painted out car with Mama's sweeper, and he got mad and told my Mama to shut up. I said it to Lou, really, but have awakened to the fact that he is easy to pump and henceforth shall accompany him on his visits. I don't believe I told you that the old house is either sold or to be sold for $17,000. There is some sort of a bad deal there. You know, the younger brother, the only brother left, started the proceedings to sell in order that his share would go to pay off his own house he is buying, and since there was a big argument, it went through the court at media. Lou's mom hired a lawyer at fancy Eastern fees, and he has done nothing for her that I can see. They appointed an assessor, the court did, and he appraised it at $11,000. Sale was to be kept quiet on account of the judgment against Mom that hadn't until then been renewed and would soon be outmoded, but the very guy they didn't want to find out about it was the first one to make the offer. It all sums down to this. They have a buyer for $17,000. If the rest of the clan signs the papers to date, they haven't. $5,000 of that sum is Mom's, less her $2,000 judgment note, less her lawyer's fees, $350, so she expects to come out roughly with $3,000. She is to have 3 months from the date the sale is final to vacate, and so far not a move has been made to clear out the stuff. I use the term loosely. She is going to go to Elizabeth's. Though there have been several good ads in the paper, she might have answered to preserve her independence. She's grieving about losing. And it is my secret opinion that she is looking forward to relaxing in the warmth and pleasantness of a new house, heated by a central heating plant.
Let's break here.
There's a lot going on here. Before we even get into the stuff about the house, little Louis repeating everything that Daddy's doing.
So from that story, now,
Mhm.
first of all, I don't know how you could use a sweeper to paint a car,
I don't know.
but apparently you can.
Yeah.
But like if my husband would take my my husband would take my sweeper, my vacuum cleaner, my whatever you call it, and used it to paint the car, I think I would have a conniption fit. I mean, I don't even know how you do it, first of all, but he clearly did not ask Sweetie.
Nope.
So, and then Louis.
Yeah. Louis the spy. This is going to be a thing for the rest of his life from this point moving forward. If Sweetie needs to know what's going on, she sets the eyes and ears she's going to use are the ones of her son. Whether it's extended family, far, far, far down the storyline, a lot more, I would say to those extended family members, if they are listening, a lot more than you ever knew that you had a mole in your group for decades who was clearly reporting back to Sweetie, and normally would just end there, but since she writes everything to Jeanne, yeah, this is when this started. She says it. I'm going to send him out with him everywhere.
That, to me, right there, I love this. I love how this moment in time was preserved. This was where she's like, I have been awakened.
Yep.
I know now this little boy will tell me everything I need to know.
Yep.
So I think that's funny. That's documented too, because I think you had mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the car's painted. The sweep. I guess I hope the sweeper works fine.
Yeah. Hopefully he didn't break it.
But let's get into this. So we do know that Sydney was selling the house. It was way too much house for her.
Yep.
And I guess that there was a family, the younger brother.
I think this is the salesman's family. Yeah, because we know the youngest brother in Sydney's family is Lou himself. He's not doing this. He's not real estate.
Yeah.
And then we get into, well, Joe's on like the theater stage. He's getting gigs. By the way, for people that are wondering about that, Joe Graham, Lou's brother, for any of our newer listeners, we're going to get to that content. Don't worry. Don't worry. If you've been saying, what's going on with the brother? What's he always doing? Later. But so this is not the brothers. This is, I think, the salesman's family. That there's a younger brother that he wanted to start selling because he must be buying a house. So he's trying to get his commission and sell this quickly. We also get, that's the vibe that I got from this. Okay. And then Sydney hires a lawyer that Sweetie finds quite useless, apparently. And none of it's really going, but like, they're like, okay, about $17,000, 1949. This is for 936 Springfield Road out there in Collingdale. However, Sydney's only getting so much back, and it seems that there's some debts on the property, that there's some things that need to be settled. And her husband, Samuel, Lou's dad, had passed away in 1945. There's something that's just not finished there. Are there some sort of like taxes in the property? Is there something that she needs to clear, the ledger books on? And that definitely seems to be happening because she says she expects to come out roughly with $3,000 out of $17,000. So there's like a lot going on here. But that doesn't give a lot of options for Sydney to live on, from the sale of a property that's as big. And it's kind of shocking to us. It's a huge property. We get that like inflation has definitely like changed the numbers here, but to start at 17 and wind up with 3,000 at the end, she's gonna have to figure something out.
The assessor too that was appointed. He only appraised the property at 11,000.
Yeah, so they'll be lucky if they get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, somebody must have really wanted the house to give her an extra $6,000 for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like there's a problem going on here. I mean, she's having to like deal with this new phase of her life, and she's going to Elizabeth's.
Yeah.
So which is probably good. She's she'll be there for the baby. She'll be there for Elizabeth, which is good. And yeah, and I think she probably was like looking forward to it. But yeah, it also like for an older person who's used to living by themselves, like my grandmothers were at their homes. Like they stayed there their whole rest of their lives. That's where they lived. That's where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to like say goodbye to that.
Yeah. It's a rare case. It's a very rare case where somebody stays in one house their entire life.
Right.
And you barely hear about it happening. My mother's mother did. My mother's parents did. The house was built for their family in 1912, where my mother's parents are from, up in the mountains in central Pennsylvania. And my grandmother died in bed at home, looking out the same window that, she was from. So, but that's so, so rare. And like, we even see it now. Like, it's so hard, the upkeep, everything else. But there's going to be a lot of stuff to go through. So we're going to get more storyline here. This is the beginning of the journey. She says, Sweetie indicates she has a few months to get all the things out. And that's going to come up in some later content that we're going to get into as Sydney starts clearing out more of the items and things. I do not begrudge her a bit of it, for I know too that she will become chief cook, babysitter, housekeeper, for Elizabeth and Bob go out a lot, and part of the reason she hasn't done any packing, etc., is that she has to stop midway, clean up, and go sit with the baby, while they go first one place and then another. No, sister, I have not fallen heir to her clothes. She is still big. I do not mean especially fat, just huge, though if she doesn't curb her appetite, she will be just plain fat. I am not sure that I'll get the clothes. She may decide to keep them and make things for her own youngster from them, and I certainly can't blame her for that now, can I? I wish I could have a little more time before Christmas to get done a little more sewing. Old Father Time really makes Tempest fidget. On top of all I have to do, I've the yen to knit again, and wish that Jeanne would send me the sweater in stockinette stitch, a plain knit sweater with the cabling on top, but I would like to hear from her about it. I'm so busy looking out the window for the mailman that I can't type without hitting more wrong letters than right ones, so I'd better stop and get this out there before I get left behind when the boat sails. Love, Sweetie.
Well, that was a nice little letter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And she's adjusting now to this new system now that she's out in the boondocks and is not used to the way that they operate out there with the mail. I can kind of relate with this.
Only at this time, though. It's not the Boondocks anymore.
No, it's not. No, this was Boondocks now at this time, and then not anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's adjusting. She's getting. She's going to have that new. Sydney's moving out, and so they're probably going to be getting some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most likely, she was talking about getting Sydney's clothes.
That was Elizabeth's. Yeah.
Elizabeth's clothes.
Yeah. She doesn't mention the name, but it is Elizabeth that she's talking about.
Okay, I was gonna say Sydney probably has a different sense of style.
Yeah. Sydney's very proper. So with everything. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they're going to the next thing. They're getting settled in. Mm-hmm. And then that's going to be an undertaking for the family, having to move Sydney out of the house. This is, so I'm really glad that they are in their own house.
Oh my goodness. If they were trying to do it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Sydney did that by design, was like, okay, I'm not going to sell it till they get theirs.
Probably. So there's some more options. Also, I think she's going to need a break at some point because, well, Lou and Sweetie and Lewis are living at Collingdale. So it's like, okay, these guys have to get out so they have somewhere to go. And also, if G-Mom Graham, Sydney, if she needs a place to get away from Elizabeth, she's going to need Lou and Sweetie to have a place where she can get away from Bobby sitting and everything else that's going on over in the Brown household. So, yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I'm glad that she's going to have somebody to keep an eye on her, too. She's getting older. She did recently injure her wrist.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it will be nice for her to be somewhere where she's warm, safe. That's good.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was very nice. And we got that. And we too, and you highlighted it in my copy. It says, Tempest is fidgeting.
I love that phrase.
I know.
So good. So good.
It's uniquely Sweetie. So I love hearing it.
Yep.
But that was our first letter. It's still typed, so she still has her typewriter. But now our next letter is strictly to Jeanne.
County Line Road, RFD, Hatboro, Pennsylvania, October 19th, 1949. Dear Jeanne, I want you to take particular notice of the date. I may not get this done today, but at least I will start it and do the best I can. I've just finished a short one to the clan, hurriedly, as the mailman is about due, and so this shall have to be done in shifts. Again, I thank you for the long travelogue. It was delightful, and I do appreciate it, and while I do not always do them justice, like my singing, it isn't particularly good, just loud. I'll try to come somewhere near the length, if not the quality. I was interested in your leaving Lakeshore. Will enjoy looking at those 42 pictures of Open House that I did not come to see, and I enjoyed reading of your interview with Mr. McMahon. Mr. Hughes leaned over backwards, after some of his previous nastiness, in writing the letter of recommendation. It was good, though, and no doubt it may prove a help in the future. I hope you'll be in no way disappointed in the Iowa Pack job, and I'll be awaiting news of your arrival there. Too bad you didn't learn to drive, so you could have taken it earlier. See? I tried.
I thought that was so cute.
Yep. Love it. Yep.
That's her and her sister. They're best friends.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So she gave her a little jab there at the end. So if you would have learned how to drive. How does Jeanne, I guess in that day and age it's different, but how do you operate without having a license?
Well, at least she's in Des Moines. She does have the one advantage that she's in a city. And we know those, I keep having this image in my head, especially from like Full House, right? Of like the trolley. Like these are the days of like the trams and the trolleys going around above ground a lot in these cities. Most of them are gone now. Some cities still have a few. And I think that's how she really did it. She's used to taking the bus. She's used to going places. We know that Chester and Laura will visit from Lacona. I think that's the biggest thing. The hardest thing for her is going to be getting to visit other people and getting to Lacona, about the hour south, to see her parents. But outside of that, yeah, you can get around without a car in a city. So I did it actually when I lived in Philadelphia for a couple of years. I didn't drive. But then again, I was like a block from a subway station. So I just
Yes,
took the
I've
subway. Yeah.
never ever been in a city or a place that I could travel without having my own car or having somebody drive me, which was very weird for me. My college campus was not one of those ones that it's like, it's easy to get to other places.
I would say it's interesting because I walked up to campus a number of blocks. I was in North Philly too. Looking back at that time period, things have changed a bit. It's gotten a little rougher around the edges, I would just say, in North Philadelphia. But I was really bold. You get into that sense when you're in a city with things and you're just like, I don't have a car. I have to go about my life. And you do. And that's always just been my mentality. And I think Jeanne had a similar. She's going to be like, okay, me too. And she just kind of ran with it. One thing is the commentary here about Lakeshore versus Iowa PACs. So she's changing jobs here. We know she's been in industrial nursing, right? So she's working at these companies where she's the nurse. Do you remember a few letters ago when she's like, I hope you got the paper from Lakeshore? And Sweetie asked her for all the gore. Like, what's all the gossip? Like, how'd you go? And she said, that bastard Hughes. Remember that?
I think I do.
Hughes just wrote the letter of recommendation. So, well,
sometimes you get to those places where you have contention and then you work it out. And Jeanne is clearly a woman of high caliber.
Yeah.
I mean, she is a great, like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish it upsets me so much.
I want to see the travelogue.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed that someday we get letters from Jeanne.
We will.
Allison
it's gonna be a while.
With a little tidbit.
It's gonna be a while. Yeah,
it's gonna be a while. But so I always miss these. I'm always grateful too that Jeanne saved all of Sweetie's letters.
Oh my gosh!
So that was a lovely little update with Jeanne.
Yep.
And so the next thing too, our next thing is another short little thing. It's just a postcard to Jeanne.
October 24th, 1949. Dear Jeanne, I started a letter to you in answer to your long one, but Daddy sent us nursery stock that needed immediate attention. My hands have been so blistered and sore, I could hardly uncurl them, and my legs feel and act like they belong to somebody else. Today is Lou's day off. We are going to Derby to dig up Mom's plants and to shop, etc. I wrote a card to the folks, and will drop one to Sister and Frank, since I haven't written for several days. I aim to purposely forget Dit's typewriter when we go today. Have ordered a few more bulbs to put out yet, and boy, what work. Am anxious to hear from you about nursing. CJ, M, Sly, and of course, about the Kessel papers and that man. I'll try to get to the long letter soon too, so don't give up yet, and write too. Won't ya? Love from all of us. Sweetie, and the two Lou's.
That's cute. That sounds like a little band name, Sweetie and the Two Lou's.
It could be. Yeah, that'd be really great.
Yeah, she gets up there. They do backup. She sings. So this is fun because Chester's sending her flowers, and now she's like, I'm gonna plant. I'm excited, and this is like, ooh, I love it. I love being outside. I love doing gardening. Not in this weather, but
yeah, it's a little hot outside, but still.
It's a little hot. But Chester sent her a bunch of stuff that she can plant, and so I'm excited to see like what she's going to do with that. But she's been clearly working. Yeah.
And I love this one note. Now she's intentionally being like, you know what? That's not getting this typewriter back. That's what you get. Yeah. So.
Well, I don't know how much typewriting Dit would be doing when she's gallivanting around with her husband around town. So she doesn't need it.
Whatever, Dit. Like, your family's all here. You're good. What are you writing letters to Joe? Like, he's not reading. He's on stage doing his Joe thing. Like,
Exactly. Who's
here
she
you go.
even writing letters to?
Right. So,
Yeah,
no. She's just
Disney.
gonna, maybe she'll forget. Maybe she'll forget that Sweetie has her typewriter. I wish the typewriter survived. I kept asking my dad. I was just like, did one of her typewriters survive? He's like, no. And the sewing machine did, and that's awesome. We've seen that. But like, oh, I just want to have my hands on that typewriter, even if it's completely like destroyed, or maybe there's a few keys left from wherever she destroyed some parts or something. I keep looking. I don't know. But yeah. So, oh man, it's great. Going into the next letter, though, so Sweetie provided the natural segue for the next letter because she's hinting at, I would say, the focus of this episode, which is the big letter at the end. So if you like gardening and you like hearing about the outdoors, man, do we have a story for you today in the Love Sweetie podcast. And a new character appears on the scene as well. County Line Road, RFD, Hatboro, Pennsylvania, October 28th, 1949. Dear everybody, "Smatter, doesn't anybody like me anymore? I typed my fingers down to nubs, and all I got was a card from Sister and a nice letter from Frank. Shake hands with a farmer, kids. Oi, easy there, Jack. Don't mutilate my blisters. As I wrote you on cards, I think, we had the farmer behind us disc lime, fertilize, and seed, and drag the lot. Even now, as I look back and try to figure out how we could have done it ourselves, I'm convinced there was no other way to do it. We couldn't have done it ourselves, and we surely couldn't have found anyone else to do it any more reasonably than he did. At least I don't think so. And we're still better off, too. For Lou offered to help him out in some of his work. May pick corn for him this weekend, and so help to pay off the bill. He used a big tractor. Farmall, I think, and being a farmer, did a good job. Let me tell you something about him. Mr. Fred Oehrle, pronounced Early. Somebody told me some time ago that he was terribly crippled by arthritis, that though he was 57, he appeared to be in his 70s. He had 3 children, all of whom were girls, and he was grieving over having no sons to take over the farm. He was the owner of this acre of land on which these 2 new houses were built. We called at his house late one evening to ask about having him do the work for us, and he agreed. We were there only a few minutes, but I was sure that the arthritis was not arthritis, but that he was a spastic. Now I'm sure of it. What a pitiful thing it was to watch him talk, walk, and work. And yet, he's to be admired, too, because he keeps at it, and really does a good job, too. I used a little flattery on him, saying that my neighbor had told me that if we wanted it done right, that he was the man to go to, and he rather outdid himself to live up to the recommendation. Louis, of course, did not understand the situation. I had no time to warn him, and he started to ask, "Why do you walk funny like that?" I jerked him up short and changed the subject before the idea got across, I think. Then, when we had a moment, I explained that Mr. Oehrle was crippled, couldn't help but walk like that, and that it would be very unkind to say such things. To my surprise, he started sympathizing and pitying him when he saw him again. I was close enough to give him a shake to rattle his eye teeth, and with an Aunt Jeanne glare, he shut up right quick. He did a very good job of disking, spread the lime and fertilizer, disked again, seeded, and then dragged it. Lou got the front yard raked before it rained, and the day they did the disking, I spaded up close to the house, set out the King Alfreds and the Glory of the Snow. I don't quite remember the days or dates, but I think I wrote you the cards on Monday, when we were leaving to go to Derby, to get some plants from Lou's mother. We got iris, strawberry plants, rose bushes, lily of the valley, and on Tuesday morning early, Lou and I got up to set out as much as we could before he had to go to work. We set out iris on each side of the driveway, a little green shrub. I'm not sure of its identity. At the corner of the garage, I set out the grapes in a straight row along the wood side of the lot, stepped in about 4 feet, and set out almost 3 dozen strawberry plants. I did not get them mulched, as it started raining, and in the freshly disked ground, I was sloshing around. And now I'm afraid the frost may have finished off their not too good prospects for survival. I set the 3 raspberry bushes out behind the garage, where they'll get plenty of sun, set the mock orange out by the house, front corner, and the baby's breath looked so dried out, I thought surely it was a waste of time to plant it. I soaked it for 2 days in a pan of water, and when it soaked up water, began to look as though it had a breath of life left in it. I put it out front, sort of by itself, where it can draw upon a greater area for its needs. Lou set out 2 rose bushes close to the back steps, and we've got 1 or 2 more to set this weekend. I read where resetting lily of the valley rarely produced blooms, and that it was better to buy pips from a florist. I'm going to set some of them anyway, just to see what they will do, and we'll do it tomorrow, if at all possible. We ordered some iris from Henry Field, as we are not sure what these of G-Moms are like, or how well they'll do. Some hyacinth, they listed on sale, and 1 lily. I'd like to get his offer of gladiolus bulbs, too. However, I noticed that we are expected to pay the postage, as we live outside their zone. I didn't find that notice until I sent the order. That may delay it, and may delay the planting. It is getting colder each day, and I'm worried about what we've already planted. All right, so we're going to pause here, and as a reminder, this letter is from the end of October, so all this planting going on as the frost is starting to come in as we start to approach the winter season.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I didn't understand why she was doing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of see now, like, she was out in Iowa, and so she has that zone mentality. I don't know what the zone is, but I guarantee it's like up.
Yeah.
We are in 6, and I think in some places up north PA it's 5. Which is a different zone. But she's setting all that stuff out, and I'm just like, ooh, honey, you are just out of your element. This is not the time to be planting all of these things. The strawberry plants that's going to be a big fat waste of time. The grape probably would do well, and the raspberry bushes, you really should set those out. Like, some of this stuff needs to go out in the spring.
Yeah.
Around here. Yeah. But I mean, we'll see how they do. And also, she has this mentality, I think, that I had to develop over years of gardening and going outside. She's like, well, I read that the lily of the valley probably won't bloom again, but I'm just going to set them out and see what happens anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you have it. So
yeah. She's like, I have this. Let's see how this goes. And so I really like that we have like a great list of all the things that they're doing, where they're putting it. And I'm hoping in later years we'll get an update on how these are doing.
Yeah. And I keep wondering, the iris. She calls out the iris a lot in a number of letters. The iris are significant ones. Chester's sending iris. Outside of my house here, which is where Sweetie at the end, she was here. So it's like I'm in the same place. And by the driveway, by the garage, blooming, it depends because they don't bloom every year, are iris flowers. Now, I keep thinking in my head, like my dad didn't plant them there. They were planted there by Sweetie for sure. So they keep coming back. They're perennials. I don't know if they're like descendant of like all these irises traveling around, but I like to imagine that they are. That this is like the descendant flowers from these iris. That every time that gets mentioned, I think about that. They didn't not too many blooms this year, but I think we had like maybe 8 or 9 blooms the year before. So it was really quite lovely. But yeah, and I love her little thing about the baby's breath here. That it got a breath of life. Yeah, haha, got it. Yep, check. But the biggest part of this letter is the earlier portion when we get to learn about the farmer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. As she calls him Fred Oehrle, she gives a spelling. So just for our audio listeners, because you can't see it on the screen, she has to give the pronunciation because the spelling that she provides is Oehrley. Which is why she's giving the pronunciation. It's a tough name that you wouldn't normally know to say unless she gives it and she says, pronounce it early. We're going to get into at the end of this episode a bit more about the farmer because she gives these little nuggets of information that are really, really helpful to genealogists and historians trying to figure things out. She says he's 57. That's very precise. This 57-year-old, he looks like he's 70, and here's the name. I'm like, okay, I'm going to look into this. Pause. We'll come back to that at the end of the episode about the farmer. But we get this description of this man, and it just reminds us so much that even with things that make work and life difficult or complex, people rise to the occasion. And here it is, like, this is the best farmer. And we know who's saying to go over. It's the only neighbor she's talking to, which is Mrs. Rieselman.
Mm-hmm.
So Mrs. Rieselman's like, hey, get over to this guy. He's going to help you. We have this pretty amazing scene here with her and Lewis and the farmer and Lou that they all called at night. And this really great job that this farmer helped them out. And it looks like Lou's just like, hey, I can pick some corn for you and help out to pay it off. And it seems that the farmer's like, okay, cool. So
I'm sure he appreciated that.
Yep.
And, and I love the bartering going on, like we can do this. And I also really like that clearly, so he has some kind of condition that affects his gait and his probably his mobility. And she said she's able to tell that he's spastic. So I'm guessing it's probably MS or some Parkinson's or something that, that causes like involuntary movements.
Yeah.
But I think every mother has experienced a situation where their child is like asking questions and not aware of like the social contract, that it's not proper to ask those things because they're children.
Right. He's 4.
And I'm guessing this man sounded very nice and he has daughters, so I'm guessing he probably was aware and wasn't like offended or anything. But you get that sense, where when you come across people and you have to explain things. This has happened lots of times for me, especially with my boy. But it can make you feel like embarrassed, like you don't, like you, like people might be judging you, which is really funny because we always talk about Sweetie judging you for not raising your child to be a little bit better manners. And she obviously definitely felt some sort of embarrassment from that. I would like to say that at this time that I've gotten over that because people kind of understand, and especially they're older now too, so they understand as well. But this is a very typical situation for a mother with a 4-year-old little boy.
Yeah. Oh, and I will note, she says at the end, I gave him a big Aunt Jeanne glare. And I reacted to that because I've been the recipient of that glare. And I know exactly what she's talking about, let me tell you.
I like how it's not Sweetie's. She's like, no, Jean's is way better. I'm going to use that.
Glare. Yeah, I remember this. And I'm like, I wish if I could find a way to give it, if I could really focus in, I don't even know like how to describe it. Jeanne always appeared stern. And I was really, really young. And now it's like this Jeanne that I know from the letters. I wish I could talk to her today. I'd be like, oh, we need to like drop the tea. Is that, I think that's the right phrase from the Gen Zers. Yeah, it's like she's going to spill the tea and then we're going to talk and we're going to have coffee and it's going to be this wonderful time at a cafe. But as a kid, you did not cross Aunt Jeanne. And when she said the Aunt Jeanne glare, I was like, because I have remembered the Jeanne glare.
That's so fun. Oh, like I said, I would have loved to have coffee with you guys too.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
But Sweetie is so awesome, and I definitely get the sense like of all these situations that's coming through. Like, I feel like I'm there.
Lou is off Saturday and Sunday and possibly Monday, as there is no flight scheduled. I'll probably not know for sure until he gets home tonight. There was a big inspection this morning, the first since his return, and in spite of what we do to get ready in advance, we usually scurry around at the last minute, and this morning was no exception. He had Simonized his shoes after I'd used liquid polish on them, and they glistened like mirrors. Just at the last minute, we found the best hat had a blob of green paint right in front, and he told me that he had used some chalk on the spot just before they lined up, and had gotten through all right. I remember one time he got caught in a pinch, and tacked a button onto his peacoat with chewing gum. We are going to go do a little shopping tonight in Jenkintown. Hatboro is a nice town, and most anything can be found here, but on occasions we do go somewhere else to look around, especially if we want to go to Sears Roebuck. This gardening has cut a big slice into my housekeeping time, and things are getting somewhat cluttered. And I must be after it right now. Besides, it is getting late, and I must be getting at my dinner, as Lou doesn't like to wait around when he gets home. This isn't much of a letter. It will explain why I haven't done much writing, even with the typewriter, and it will serve until the first of the week. I doubt that I'll get any letter writing done while Lou is home, as we will have to finish the planting, and we'd like to go back to Derby to get a few more things. like a couple of rows of Sharon bushes, and maybe a few more things. I'll try to drop you another letter. I use the term loosely. About Tuesday. Jeanne, I started a letter to you and got sideswiped or something, but we'll try to get to it again as soon as I can. Love to all of you. Yep.
Not kind.
Not signed. Yeah, she forgot to sign it in her haste, so.
Yeah, and I think that we can really get a good sense of Sweetie's mood on the way that she signs things.
Yep.
Because sometimes she signs, sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes, I think one time I saw it as K, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mrs. Graham. Like, if you see that kind of stuff.
But she did mention something.
I know.
Didn't she?
How much do we love this? So Lou's got inspection at the base for any of our new listeners, because she hasn't made mention of it the rest of the episode. He's working at the United States Naval Air Station, Willow Grove, which is right around the corner, really, from where they're living. And he has an inspection. So we've all seen movie scenes with, like, you know, the instructors come out, make sure everything's polished and all that kind of stuff. And he notices there's like a glob of paint they've been painting on a hat, not sure how it got there. And he is like, oh, I got to take some chalk, which I would think that would stand out, but maybe he has different colors chalk, who knows. And he's managing to cover it up. And she makes reference to, I remember this button that we stuck onto his pea coat with gum. That is the most popular episode of the Love Sweetie podcast, the story about the button. I know its number right off the top of my head. Everybody who's listening, if you haven't listened to it before, go back to episode 18 called We're Going to the Shore Patrol Station. That's the one.
I love that this letter, that episode came up in this letter.
Right?
Because this just shows Lou's ingenuity and his problem-solving capabilities.
Yeah.
He knows how to get around stuff. So
he does.
That one I would recommend anyone, if they wanted to ever like get started with it, that would be one of the episodes to go to.
Yeah. And I'm not going to spoil it. She gives a little hint about what happens. But also, if you have like friends that want to start, you know, you recommend the podcast to friends and you're like, what's a good episode for people to listen to? Episode 18. We're Going to the Shore Patrol Station. It gives the personality of Sweetie in such a wonderful dose, and it's an uninterrupted story about the Shore Patrol in Iowa.
I know. It will never not be funny.
It'll never not be funny, right? Like, that's it. Where's the shore, guys? Okay.
But that was our last letter. But we don't want to end the episode this way.
No, we don't. I was telling Jamie, and I was just like, okay, one thing bothers me. I'm going to go into historian mode. I'm going to put on the full-on historian hat here, because I know about Mrs. Rieselman. And previously, I've been able to look up and find more information about the Rieselman family that lived there. But she drops the name of the farmer, and I don't believe this farmer is named in future episodes. So I don't mind going into a little bit of the details about this farmer. But first of all, I had to find him. And Sweetie, you did not spell his last name right. And you did not get his first name right. So when these sorts of things happen, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to go follow my historical paths that I go through and just find people. I'm like, no, he's not coming up. And I get bothered. Historian Allison gets really bothered. I'm like, I'm going to find him. So if you like playing detective and you're like, no, like, I know he existed. He owns this much land. He's selling his land to Sweetie. He has to show up in the deeds. This should be showing up in the information from the 40s. I have access to these things because I study historical records. Everybody, maybe one day we'll get this podcast sponsored by Ancestry.com, but there's a lot of records online. Call us, you know, and if you know how to dig, you know how to dig. So I was doing my standard digging and just nothing. And this is like, not having it. This person exists, right? So, like, it really bothers me. So I'm like, okay, what do we know about this farmer? And also I'm searching through all the old newspapers for any information about this individual. Nothing. And I'm just like, she got something wrong here. So, and I'm like, but Sweetie doesn't usually get things wrong. Not at this level of detail. I mean, we have his age. Like, so if he's 57, he was born around 1892. Like, I know he should be here. Was he an immigrant?
He was born in 1892?
Born in supposedly from 57, so thereabouts. Like, he's like Chester's generation, you know. Okay. Chester, I think, was born in 1886.
He had like 3 daughters.
He had 3 daughters, right? These guys should be showing up. They should be showing up. I'm like, did he immigrate? Was it like, because the name could be a European name. I'm not exactly sure with the spelling. She's not exactly sure with the spelling because I can't find it online. So now I'm like bothered. So I'm like, no, he existed. I'm finding him. So what is the other clue that we know? Which was the farmer is behind her. And he sold her the property that they live on. So he was the previous owner of this property and the twin house that's being built by the family that's not talking to Sweetie, so we don't care about them. So, but like he owned that acre.
Mhm.
So there should be a property record. There should be something there. And the best place to say it, so I'm like, maybe he's a neighbor for Mrs. Rieselman. The Rieselmans have been here. One thing you should know at this time period, and I'm getting like really animated right now. So if you see my face flushing, it's because I'm so excited to tell you all the story. So I was like, Mrs. Rieselman's been there for a bit. Remember, she has the phone line. Like, she's like, I don't know who all these neighbors are. Like, I listened to last week's episode if you missed about Mrs. Rieselman, the neighbor over there. So the 1950 census is available. She didn't say he was a widower, so we know the wife should be there. So it's probably a family of 5. Like, that should show up on a census. No. So I go back to 1940. Now, Sweetie in 1940, she's in Iowa. She's still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Lou is in Collingdale. So I was just hoping that Mrs. Rieselman was living on County Line Road at this time. So I'm like, that's it. They're going to be neighbors. So I go to Rieselman's, to the census of 1940, and I go to the Rieselman listing, and there's the Rieselman family, the sons, and Carl, who that said was from the Netherlands. So we know that's right. That has to be the one. He was from Holland. And we see Rieselman, Mrs. Rieselman, whose first name we haven't seen yet, which actually happens to be Kathryn, spelled a different way. Wow, they really are kindred spirits. You know,
They
Kathryn
are.
and Kathryn. No wonder she keeps writing Mrs. Rieselman to her family. She'd be referring to her own names. That I was like, okay, cool. And then I start scanning through because the census takers who gave a lot more data in the census back then than they collect today. They would go house to house to house, even if there was no number on it, because that's not going to identify it. And I start looking for O's. I look for a couple things. O names, a wife, and 3 daughters. And I find nothing. And I'm like, okay. I'm not going to give up, though. I'm not going to give up. I'm like, okay, so he's not a neighbor, but he owned the property. Something is going on here. So I start running variations. There's an Oehrle that lives in Williamsport. Jamie and I are like, oh, like with an I at the end. No, that's a whole other story. Not for the podcast. Right. But yeah. But I'm like, nah, he's not from Lycoming County out in Pennsylvania. Shout out Lycoming County if you have anybody listening out there in Williamsport. There's like some Kansas listings for this name. I'm like, he's not in Kansas. This is not a Midwestern farmer.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Nope. So I start thinking, that first name has to be wrong. His name's not Fred.
Right.
I don't think it's Frederick. I don't think it's Fred. The name Frederick Oehrle, I thought maybe he's an immigrant, all this other stuff. So I decided to get rid of the first name completely. And I'm like, now I'm just looking for Oehrles in Pennsylvania, like generally. And this can be tricky. And finally, I find a Franklin Oehrle, spelled Oehrle, no Y, who passed away in 1955. And he lived in that immediate vicinity in Bucks County. So I'm just like, okay, it's an unusual enough name. I couldn't find anybody else. This is him. But I was like still unsure because it just said he passed away. And we know the fact is he has 3 daughters. So now with this new information, I go back into the 1940 census and search it for Franklin Oehrle or Frank Oehrle. And you know what I find?
What do you find?
Frank Oehrle with a wife and 3 children. All daughters. Yay!
Allison, that was a roller coaster from start to finish.
I know, but we're not done yet because we have some more details about Franklin.
Oh gosh, and now there's an extra hill on the roller coaster. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's go with that. I have a little documentation to bring up on the screen here because now knowing this, I'm like, let's find some information about Franklin. And I go into the newspapers to be like, you know, how much land did he own and things like this. All right, let me bring up the first one I'd like to share with everybody. How happy am I to find some details about the farmer if very little survives? Potato demonstrations.
This is the greatest thing. He was a potato farmer?
He was a potato farmer.
That's the best vegetable.
It's delicious. And I'm like, oh, and then I think French fries, but like potato demonstrations. So I'm going to read this article. Now, this article appeared, and I'm going to give the credits to what article this is in, because this is an old article that we're looking at here. This was in the News Herald from Percy, Pennsylvania. That's in Bucks County. Yeah, Percy is close by to where I live. It's a nice little area. Very sort of rural. It's building up now like crazy, like everywhere else in the southeast of Pennsylvania, but beautiful area. This is from Wednesday, October 13th, 1920. This is pre-Great Depression, page 8 now. Here's the text of the article, and we'll have the article on the screen for the people watching on YouTube. But audio, you're not losing anything here, so you're going to hear the article. Potato demonstrations. Results on 2 potato spraying demonstrations and 1 potato variety test were tabulated on Thursday on the farms of Frank Oehrle, which we know is pronounced Early, Hatboro, and Dr. W.A. Haynes Bristol. Dr. W.A. Haynes Bristol showed an increase of 35.7% in the potato acreage that he sprayed over the unsprayed portion in his field. So they're doing some sort of comparison here with sprays, of like what's going to have like a yield. 2 acres of the 15 planted on this farm were homegrown seed. This seed usually is rather poor, and this year was no exception. The sprayed rows from this seed yielded 89 bushels per acre. The unsprayed yielded 65.6 bushels per acre, making an increase of 23.4 bushels. The average yield for the 15 acres on the farm was 200 bushels. Now, this is, I guess, the competition for Mr. Oehrle here, or Early. I keep saying his name wrong, even though Sweetie told us how to pronounce it.
It's okay.
However, Frank Early, Hatboro, is conceded to have the best crop of potatoes in Bucks County this year. The yield on the sprayed portion of his field was 310 bushels per acre. So that's a huge difference, right, with this competition.
Per acre?
And the yield, yeah, and I looked this up, by the way, that's like 18,000 pounds of potatoes. He's really farming potatoes. This is 310 bushels. So if that's right, farmers or anybody that does agriculture, correct me if I'm wrong, but quick Google search told me it was about 18,000 pounds of potatoes. And the yield on the unsprayed portion of the field was 295.7 bushels per acre, making an increase of 14.2 bushels over the unsprayed, or an increase of 5%.
So it was like what? So this was 49. So it was like
30 years earlier.
30 years previous?
Right. He is the potato producer in Bucks County.
The best potato man in Bucks County, and that's saying something.
So, listeners, next time like you're enjoying a potato, you can think of Frank Early in Bucks County and his awesome potato yields that are going on. But it's nice to have like an idea as to what type of crop the Early family produced. And like, the one thing, we've talked about this before in this podcast, because Chester would use the term agricolae. We don't appreciate in this country our farmers nearly enough as we should.
We should. And honestly, I have such respect for this man, because he was farming 30 years prior to this stuff, and he was apparently really good at it. And so, like, for him to be grieving, yeah, I get it. He's grieving that he has no sons to leave this farm to. I just want to ask, so he did die in 1955?
He died in 1955, and we do have one more piece of documentation from him that I was able to find, and it's a document that he signed, and I like that. This is from World War II, so fast forward to the 40s. There's no indication that he served in the military, but just like Bill Bolton had to, they have to fill out those draft registration cards to indicate, who they are and that they're ready to serve, because we're going to get to see Mr. Early's draft registration card for World War II.
Allison.
And here we go. The farmer in Hatboro. Wife is Anna. But I would draw your attention to his signature.
Wow. Yeah, he was...
Arthritis. Yeah. So, he's struggling to sign. It's, for our audio listeners, it reminds me somewhat of Samuel's signature signing the card near end of life. It's clear somebody else filled out most of this card, but Frank's signature, it's hard for him to hold a pen. It reminds me very much of the last letter that we air in episode 0 of what Sweetie's handwriting looked at the end, because she had Parkinson's. So, yeah.
Oh, Allison, that's, this is like, and you get like his he's 5'9", so he's a good size, 165 pounds.
Yep.
Gray, and that was gray hair. So he was older.
He was
when he
older.
filled this when he filled this one out. Wow.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Since then,
Looking, I love he
yes.
put down for his occupation that he's self-employed and he's a farmer.
Yep. On the Bucks County side of
Mhm.
County Line Road, even though his mailing address is Hatboro, so that checks out. His wife, Anna.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, we get to see it all here. Born in 1893. So, like, from the whole discovery, I assumed he was born around 1892. Sweetie got the age just about right. He's born February 19th, 1893. And he does pass away in 1955. She said he looked a lot older, right, than he was. He's kind of suffering at this point, I would say, an amount. But what an amazing life that he had, you know. He works through it all. You know, despite all of the hardship, he works through it all. And that's the mentality I've always seen in good farmers. You know, they just do their job. No questions asked. They get the work done.
Yeah. So thank you. I will definitely be raising a glass to this man. I wonder, she said Fred. I wonder if they heard Fred and he just never
Probably.
corrected them. He's like, I
Right,
guess
he
I'm
just kind
Fred
of
now.
went with it. Frank, Fred, you know, whatever. So now we know it is Frank. That's important. But yeah, raise a glass. I was going to say the exact same thing. That's the thing. Raise a glass to Frank Oehrle. Raise a glass to the unknown farmer that we all, you know, benefit from.
We all
Raise
rely on. We all rely on.
To the forgotten farmer, because Frank here, I think, is pretty much forgotten to history. I've never heard his name in the county, despite all of these potatoes and clearly hard work he did in the earliest part of the 20th century. So easy to forget the farmers. They always provide for us. But,
Allison, thank you so much.
yeah.
But this actually is a very important episode.
Yeah.
And the fact that it went so well as it did. Thank you. Thank you again.